Hello, twisted humans.
Do you find yourself wanting to know more about the latest murder, conspiracy, cult, or haunting?
Then this is the podcast for you. I'm Alecia.
And I'm Sierra, and this is
Twisted and Uncorked. Welcome, guys, to episode 30. We're 30. What?
30.
I mean, if we look really good for 52, we definitely look good for 30, right? Or the other way around. I don't know. But yes, we've made it. We are 30, flirty, and thriving. Much like our friend Amanda Goodness.
Happy late birthday, Amanda. Love you.
Love you. And yeah, so today we are covering a unsolved case. But before we get into that, Sierra, do you have something weird you want to tell me?
I do, actually. This is a news story that I just found.
Ooh.
It's from 2017, though, so I don't know how I stumbled across it today.
It's really important.
But yeah, it's strange. Anyway, this news story says that a family was at a funeral for their family members. And is my video okay? Because I feel like I'm lagging. Just in case. Oh, and I'm zoomed in. Cool.
Sierra's camera never knows where it wants to be.
We'll zoom out eventually. But yeah, so a family was at a funeral for their loved one. And as the casket was going into its hole in the ground, its plot,
I don't like where this is going.
Foot just pops out the side of the wall and onto the casket. So, yeah, the grave right next to it.
Oh, no.
It was from 1969, and the casket obviously had deteriorated in all of those years, and now the bones are just kind of sinking over, moving over in the ground. That happens when you get buried in the ground. So this is reason number 800 something why I do not want to be buried in the ground. Okay?
Second that.
Mm-hmm.
Still not sure if I want to be a tree with Sierra, I'm definitely sure of cremation.
Hang on. Let me just show you, because it's like
I don't want
right
to
here.
See it.
Oh, I'm showing you.
See it.
Oh, you have to allow me to share.
Oh. Would you not flip the fuck out if you were at a funeral and a foot just fell out of the grave next to you?
They were pissed. They tried to sue for emotional damage.
You can't sue. Somebody else is there.
Yeah, and
it's not their fault.
Yeah, the guy who owns the cemetery is just like, I can't help it. Like, there's bodies in the ground here. That's what happens.
And the earth always moves and rain and fucking shit happens, guys, okay? Just don't put yourself in the ground. Put yourself in a beautiful coral reef like Sierra taught you, or a tree. Oh, no. So bad.
So.
Oh, my God. How? What the fuck? Okay. No. That looks like a foot with skin still on it.
It does. However, the embalming process when you are put into a casket is supposed to, keep you from deteriorating too fast, as well as the caskets themselves. A lot of people have caskets that are like,
sealed.
Yeah, like they're set to a way to where what's inside lasts longer than the casket itself. And so I don't think it's anything spooky, but it is disturbing, and that's why you should be cremated.
But that's why that guy's or girl's funeral is the fucking raddest, because it caused a little spoopy uproar in his own grave, so it's fine. It's fine.
Well, his family was not cool with it.
I don't blame them. Like, I mean, like, in that moment, if you're just like, dearly beloved, we are gathered here, foot pops out. Like, I would be upset too.
Oops.
I would scream, probably think that it was a zombie, and then rational would come to my mind, and I would be like, oh, it's fine. It's just, they want to be friends in the afterlife. That's cool. Fun fact about caskets, though, while we're on that topic, is if you and I were buried alive, we would last a lot longer than our husbands.
Really?
Because there's more oxygen in the casket around us. We're smaller. We take up less room.
Yes.
Fun
yes,
fact.
I see. Interesting.
We also use less energy to gather a full breath than they would. So
Yeah, okay. Was that actually your fun fact for this week?
no.
Okay.
That is
I was
just
about
one
to
of those
say, we
things
are
that I
like on
like to
target.
tell people. And you're the only person, and our listeners are the only people I can tell that to, where they don't look at me like, "Are you okay?"
Right. Like, who's burying you? Why? Why are you in a casket?
Should we call the authorities? Blink twice. No, my fun facts are short and sweet, and I have 5 of them, and they're all about Germany.
5. Okay.
The reason I did that is because I was like, what do I want to do for my fun fact today? And my case takes place in Germany. So,
Okay.
we also have a bunch of listeners in Germany, including one of our patrons. Hello, Helene. And I just thought, we should give them a little shout out. And there's some pretty wild things in Germany. First of which being that 65% of the highways in Germany have no speed limit.
I'm not surprised.
I was.
In Bahrain, when I was in the Middle East, I think I've told you this before, all of the traffic laws are not laws, they're suggestions. You do not have to follow the suggested speed in the Middle East, so I'm not surprised about Germany. Yeah, like they don't have traffic cops. They don't give a shit about traffic violations.
If you gave people autonomy to drive whatever speed they wanted to, do you think they would choose to just keep up with traffic and not be a dick?
I think there's probably...
Germany's doing okay, so...
I would think there's probably certain people who are dicks about it, and those people usually get hurt more often, and that's what you call...
a car accident?
God, what the fuck is the word? It was literally in my head. Natural selection. There we go. Let them just hurt themselves, all right? Just do what you want. It's fine. If you don't make it, well, at least you're not procreating.
Yeah, and you're not hopefully not taking people down with you.
Yeah.
Jesus. University is free for everybody, including non-German citizens.
Nice.
Which is incredible. I feel like that should be a thing everywhere, but whatever. Yeah. Berlin is 9 times bigger than Paris and has more bridges than Venice. Another reason to visit Berlin.
Yeah. I feel like that sounds like it should be common sense, but also like you don't think of that.
No.
Like that's really interesting. Wow. I like that.
The first magazine to have ever been launched in the world was in 1663 in Germany. The first printed book was in Germany. Was in German, but also released in Germany. Germany was the first country in the world to adopt daylight savings, also known as summertime, and it occurred in 1916 in the middle of World War I. So yeah, those are my 5 fun facts. But before we get to my German case, we have wine.
We do have wine.
I mean, if I was smarter, I would have picked a fun beer for this episode or something, but I'm not that smart. And I actually gave Sierra the reins to now start picking our wine because it is very hard for me to text her and be like, "Do you have this?" and then send her out, and she's like, "No, I don't have it." So we're just going to save her some more time and drink the same wines this way. So today she has picked Apothic Red Blend Inferno. The bottle is epic. It is absolutely epic. I really like Apothic Red, so I'm hoping I'll like this one too. And it is aged for 60 days in whiskey-aged barrels. So, a little blurb about that while Sierra opens it.
I chose it because it's supposedly kind of spicy. And the only other spicy red wine I could find was made down the street from me in Tennessee, and I was like, I doubt she has this. This is some homegrown shit. So
you were gonna buy somebody's basement wine? I love it.
Yeah.
So this one is considered vintage now. It is from 2018. It has tasting notes of red and dark fruit, maple, and vanilla spice. And the little blurb about it I think is fun. It says, with the depth of a red blend and a fiery bite from whiskey barrel aging, Apothic Inferno is a red wine with a whiskey soul. Paying tribute to a time-honored craft, this wine has been aged for 60 days in whiskey barrels, like I said, creating bold notes of red and dark fruit with layers of maple and spice. Apothic Inferno delivers a rich blend with curious, intense taste and is first oak aged 2 to 4 months. Then aged additional 60 days in the barrels to give it a unique characteristic to a traditional red blend. On the smooth, rich palate, Apothic Inferno offers notes of ripe red and dark fruit with blackberry plum, which makes our sangria next week perfect, and combines with layers of maple, vanilla, charred spice with a long, clean finish.
Nice.
So yeah,
this one is dark.
To episode 30. It is dark. It's all those red fruit blends in there. Cheers, my friend. Germany. So, have you heard of Gunther Stoll?
I don't think so.
So today I have an unsolved case. There are not a whole lot of details about the person itself. Just it more surrounds the case and the mystery behind it, which you will understand in a moment. On the evening of October 25th, 1984, Gunther Stoll and his wife were sitting in their living room, just having a quiet evening together. He was in his little armchair, just kind of looking out the window. Gunther had been going through a tough time recently and was suffering from a paranoid episode, as his doctor referred to it as, and it had been persisting for quite some time. And I will say that he is in his mid to late 30s, so he's not old per se.
Okay.
On more than one occasion, he would mention them to his wife. Apparently, he believed that they were coming to get him. This had been happening for quite some time, and she got so used to hearing them or they and him talking about these people that it never fazed her anymore. So on this particular evening, Gunther stood up suddenly and yelled, I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce the German sentence, but in English it roughly translates to, now I get it, or now I understand. So, on a piece of paper, he wrote down the letters, or what investigators believed the letters to be, and it was the phrase, or the letters YOGTZE. Sorry, we have mostly American listeners. YOGTZE.
Do you guys not say Z?
We say Z, but I have always said Z. But I got made fun of in elementary school and high school so much that I've just corrected myself when I'm speaking it out loud. But it's it's natural for me to say Z instead of Z. That's stupid.
That's so strange.
I know. Canadian American things, guys. The more you know.
Okay, so tell me again what it was.
So it was YOGTZE. So YOGTZE of sorts, maybe?
Okay.
Who knows? Keep that in your brain.
Mm-hmm.
He wrote this random string of letters on a scrap piece of paper, and after further investigation, we learned that this is both meaningless in English and in German. So is it an anagram? Is it a license plate? What is it? What's happening here? Is it a code? Is it an ingredient? Who knows? He left the house not long after this, and his wife would never see him again.
What?
Serious? What is this episode?
Just escalated really quickly.
I have to keep you on your toes sometimes, okay?
Okay.
After Gunther left his home, he went to his favorite pub in Winsdorf at around 11:30 at night. He ordered one beer, his favorite, as he usually did, and it was promptly poured for him as usual. He grabbed the beer, and before so much as taking a sip, he fell to the floor and hit his face. So he fell face first onto the floor.
Okay.
Witnesses to this incident insisted that Gunther was in no way drunk. He had just gotten there. He had just gotten his first beer. But he did seem to be really distressed and anxious. He left the pub without confirming what had happened. I think he was maybe embarrassed or, just in a hurry to get on to his next task. After this, there was no signs of Gunther Stoll around town for about 2 hours. So this 2 hours is unaccounted for and we don't know what happened. But around 1:30 a.m., he arrived at the house of an elderly woman that he had known since his childhood. As it was so late, he appeared to not be in the best sorts, and she just kind of felt nervous about opening the door for him. She kind of had it cracked and was just kind of talking through there to him, and she insisted that he return home, let his wife know where he was, and to give her a call in the morning, just so she knew he was okay. He agreed, but mentioned to her that some horrible incidents would take place that night. We can't put ourselves in that situation and what we would do in that situation. We can always speculate wildly. However, I don't know if I would let somebody go after that.
But what year is this?
1984.
I feel like people didn't, no offense to her, care as much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's just rambling.
We're
drunk.
always looking at this with true crime brains.
Yes.
So that's not fair. Yeah, that's true. Something terrible is allegedly going to take place. A few hours later, those words would become eerily true. At about 3 a.m., a pair of truck drivers were on their way to work when they found a badly damaged Volkswagen car in a ditch somewhere along the Autobahn A45, which is, I'm assuming, a highway.
Sounds like it.
Or a freeway of sorts. Something with no speed limits. One of the drivers headed towards, and it was literally in the brush. It would not have gotten there naturally. It makes no sense. Mm-hmm. And I do have a photo I'll show you in a second. So obviously these two truck drivers were concerned. One ran to the closest roadside emergency telephone to call 911. And the other conducted a cursory examination of the car just to see if anybody was in there, if anybody needed immediate help, kind of thing, what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the front page of the newspaper. I just took a screen grab from the picture of it, so I couldn't find a very good picture of it otherwise.
Okay.
Do you see how it's literally in a ravine, up, it's how the fuck did that tiny car get there?
Yeah,
and look like
weird.
that. It's just unsettling. Everything about this case is unsettling.
I'm really curious as to where this is going.
It keeps getting weirder. Yeah. I can
Yeah.
promise you from an unsolved case perspective that I'm giving you zero answers, hence the unsolved part.
Yeah.
Inside the vehicle, Gunther was somehow still clinging to life despite the condition of his vehicle. He was completely naked and managed to reveal that prior to these two men showing up, there had been 4 passengers with him in the car just before the drivers had found him. He said that as the truck drivers approached, the 4 men fled, and they were not friends of his. Witnesses were still trying to establish the details when the ambulance arrived seconds after. So he's naked. He's in a very unfortunate position in his car.
Yeah.
And 4 men just fled his car that were not his friends.
Why are
And
they
he
in
is
his car?
clinging to life. I don't know.
This is so confusing.
I saw this case and I was like, what?
What is
I
happening?
needed to share it. He said that the 4 men had fled and that they were not friendly. He was kind of just jabbering on about the same stuff until the ambulance kind of pulled him in for examination, and then he was driven to the hospital.
Right.
Unfortunately, however, Gunther didn't survive the drive to the hospital and passed away.
What? I figured when he got to the hospital, he could explain what the fuck just happened.
The investigation had only just begun when it ran into its first puzzle. The cause of his death was officially determined to be the result of vehicular manslaughter. The car that hit him was, however, not anybody that Gunther had recognized, and the men that were with him were, as we know, not his friends. So who ran him off the road? Investigators believed that someone had run Gunther over at some place before the perpetrator took him to his car, left him in his car in the ditch. So, like, he was ran off the road.
Is this Gunther's
over,
car?
And then the Volkswagen is Gunther's car.
Okay.
Yes, that is his car. So he was run off the road from what investigators believe, and that's how his car ended up in the ditch. He was taken out of the car, run over, and then put back into the car. The reason that investigators believe that this is what was happened was because there was burn marks on his torso that were seemingly the result of rubber or like tar, like pavement, like the combination of the two. Mm-hmm. And there was marks on his torso that would only indicate tire marks, because at that time in 1984 there was very little variety in tire treads. So they were like, that's what it is. Crazy. Investigators questioned the truck drivers that had found Gunther extensively. They interviewed them independently, and both revealed that they had seen a stranger not far away from where the Volkswagen was when they pulled up. Whoever this person was had a bright jacket on and was walking around the wrecked car as they pulled up. The stranger had disappeared sometime between the discovery of Gunther and his vehicle and when the second man went to call 911. To this day, the four men that Gunther said that he was with have never been identified or have come forward. The real meaning of the note that Gunther wrote before leaving his home is either a key to breaking the entire investigation or the most bizarre of all coincidences in this case.
The YOGTZE?
Yeah.
Okay.
A more likely explanation is that the note didn't say YOGTZE, but that it was probably in fact a license plate. The letter O might actually be a 0. The number 2 might actually be a Z. Or sorry, the Z might actually be a number 2. The 6 could have also been mistaken for a G. No one really knows, and unfortunately the only person with those answers has died. The obvious problem with this is that it happened hours before Gunther was fatally injured.
That is weird.
Right? Oh God. So we have a, middle-aged man suffering from some sort of paranoid state. Him and his wife just have a normal evening. He's like, hey, shit, writes this stuff down, goes to a pub, hits his face on the floor before he even has one sip of beer, and is run off the road and found nearly dead at 3 a.m.
Why did he hit his... It just...
There's theories to this.
Thank God, because I am lost.
It's like the fucking lead masks case all over again.
Well, at least the lead masks I could blame on aliens. This is just like, what the fuck?
You could technically still blame this on aliens if you really wanted to.
Yeah, but what does hitting his face on the floor have to do with anything?
Maybe he saw somebody, like, right as he was about to take a sip of his beer, and he was like, it was somebody he didn't want to see and was like, fuck, like, kind of like that reaction, and lost his footing and fell.
On his face? Okay, I don't know. You just continue.
According to some, the alleged note is a call sign for a Roman radio station, and that is if the G is actually a 6, and might have been the true meaning behind the note. This does not seem to be anything more than a coincidence, though, and that there's no real ties to what took place that night, unless investigators can really discern what that note actually said or meant. It's kind of useless to them.
Yeah.
Gunther was also a food engineer by trade, so it is possible that the first 3 characters meant nothing at all or didn't even exist, and that Stoll had put the TZE on the notepaper afterwards, which is a flavoring used in yogurts. And
well,
if he was a food engineer,
is
Yeah, so maybe it was like yogurt ingredients, like he was trying to like jog his memory for something or remember something for work the following week.
Yeah.
That's possible. Some people also believe that the note could be an anagram for the word zygote. And a zygote, as we know, is the earliest developmental stages of multicellular organisms, such as ourselves. The term
Why would we know that?
What?
You said what? As we know? I don't know that. What the fuck was that? Is this biology class? Goddamn.
I'm sorry. I'm just a huge nerd. I'm sorry. I assume that everybody else is too.
I mean, I'm a nerd in other ways, but biology is not my favorite.
So, Sierra, a zygote. No, I'm joking. I love you. That's
now I know.
Yes, now you know. The term originates from an ancient Greek word that means joined. The zygote forms from a pair of gametes, the male and female reproductive cells, and it contains genetic information from each gamete to create a new individual. Genetically modifying foods or ingredients may not be anything new. And as we're dealing with 1984, this is right around the time that they were starting to experiment with foods. And if he was a food engineer, it's possible that that might actually be what that is. He was just remembering something for work and didn't want to forget what it was. And because it is such a new idea and the concept is often taken for granted today, it could have been a motive for murder back then. He may have unlocked something with genetic engineering that people wanted the information to.
Really?
Yeah, that's one theory.
Okay. I don't like it.
I don't like it. And you're very close to being able to tell me your theories. So, this is the plausible story based on that theory. So, Gunther was sitting at home, mulling over things in his head, just having a quiet night with his wife, when he came to a sudden realization that somebody, somewhere, was engaged in a secret food modification project. That someone may have suspected that Gunther was on to the same track. And he was at risk of being a potential whistleblower to the project. That person may have tracked or monitored his movements. Gunther wrote down a cryptic message, and then perhaps he considered that it might lead to some unwanted attention for his wife, so he scribbled it in the way that it came out on the piece of paper, which was YOGTZE, whatever. And when Gunther arrived at his favorite pub, he may have seen somebody that he felt threatened by and caused him to react. Perhaps at that point he fell and hit his head because he wasn't expecting it and lost his footing. Maybe one or more of these four men that Gunther had mentioned at the time of his discovery followed him out of the pub shortly before he succumbed to the car accident. It is possible that the man in the bright jacket had stalked Gunther out of his favorite pub in hope that he would turn up there sometime. The original plan may have been simply to frighten Gunther so much that he wanted to stay silent, and it might have gone too far. So hence the part of the investigation where he was dragged out of the car, run over, and put back in the car. Maybe it did go too far.
Okay.
This is all the information that we have on the case of Gunther Stoll. His wife passed away, still remaining hopeful that there would be answers to her husband's death. However, at this point, these are the only theories that we have, and the German police are, kind of using their resources elsewhere because this is a cold case from 1984. And as Sierra pointed out, you don't drop cold cases. Come on, guys.
Yeah, you don't do that.
So the more time that goes by, the less information that we're going to have about this.
That is the weirdest thing I've ever heard. I don't even know how to begin.
Do you have any theories?
Not
any
really,
thoughts?
Other than aliens.
Do you think that
aliens.
He was... Another theory, too, is that he was just suffering from, a mental illness, and that those words mean nothing, and he was just in a car accident.
Well, I think it's very possible that it's the yogurt and then the TZE ingredient flavor thingy.
Right, it makes sense
but
with his job.
I don't think that has anything to do with why he killed, or why he was killed. I don't think people would kill over yogurt. Like, I just can't get behind that.
No. The most plausible theory to me is the food, like the genetically modified food findings, is that it could be that the company that he worked for was onto something and was either at risk of spreading that news or was in competition with another company for the same information.
I still don't feel like that is a reason to kill.
But it's such a scientific breakthrough then, whereas for us today it's normal.
Yeah, but like, I don't know.
90% of our food is genetically modified today, but in 1984 that wasn't the case, and that was a new
I feel
idea.
like more than one person or company could have come up with this and done it, I feel like it wouldn't be that much competition if it was such a big discovery. It's not like if one person does it first, that's the only place that's ever going to do it. You know what I mean? Like, everybody can do it. Why would you kill over that? Right? Unless he found out that there was something wrong with genetically modifying food, which
there is.
Everything wrong with genetically modifying food. And
so
he wanted to point out
his time.
And maybe he wanted to be like, don't do this or else this is what's going to happen to the world. Yeah.
Do you have any alternative theories?
The only thing that I can think of is something to do with either aliens, because the person who ran away from his car was in brightly colored or shiny colored. What was it?
A brightly colored jacket.
Yeah. So like when you said that, I thought of like a spacesuit kind of thing.
That makes sense, because as the truck's pulling up and seeing this rubble in the ditch, then somebody's just stalking the car and runs away. It is so eerie to me. Like, it makes no sense.
But yeah, otherwise it kind of just sounds like, I don't know, like maybe it could just be road rage. I don't understand how.
But how did he get run over in the process?
Obviously, the car ran off the road by another car. I don't understand how he got ran over, though. Unless he got, it was more like a wreck, and he got thrown out of his vehicle, and then his own vehicle ran him over.
But then how was he found in his
That's true.
vehicle
He was back
clinging
in the car.
to life? Yeah. This is why his cause of death is officially listed as homicide. However, investigators still don't know. U.S., Canadian, and investigators all over from Europe have looked at the case, and they can't make any sense either.
Yeah, that's so weird. I don't know. I have no idea.
If anybody is ever bored one day, go down the Reddit rabbit hole for this case in particular. It's
what are their theories?
Some of what I've mentioned, and then some that are a little bit out there. I don't believe any of them to be plausible. However, they are quite funny. That's why I only included the 3 that I did, because those are the only ones that I was like, I guess that could happen.
Right.
But the only thing that makes sense for me is if 4 men, kind of attacked him, and that's what happened, that it had to have been a competition, or he knew something, or I don't know. People don't just casually murder. People do casually murder for no reason. Do. However, in this instance, at 3 a.m, like, why was he so frightened at the pub? Like, what did he see that he totally lost his balance and fell onto his face after just, going to take a sip of his beer like he usually did? Like,
maybe
I think that theory makes sense, that he saw somebody that was threatening or something.
Yeah, maybe it was the license plate. Maybe he saw something illegal happening in his neighborhood, like outside his window. He saw something shady happening and he was like, oh my god, that car is acting real shady. I'm just gonna write down this license plate just in case.
Oh,
and then he went to the bar.
To the pub?
Yeah, and they followed him.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Like, and maybe like some sort of
recognized and then it was like, oh shit, like they know. Yeah, that's plausible. And
like
then
some
he
sort
ran away
of
from the bar,
gangstery,
ran to this other little town where this elderly woman was that he's known his whole life, and
like they're after me.
Was warning her that something horrible was going to happen.
Yeah, I feel like creepy. If it was a license plate, they would have looked into it by now, though. Like, into all the possibilities.
Yeah.
0s and 6s and 2s, and there's like not that many combinations.
See what it pulls up, yeah. So yeah, that is the insanely mysterious and creepy case of Gunther Stoll. And I know that one was a little bit shorter and a little bit vaguer, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was Weird.
I tried so hard to find other plausible theories, like anything by investigators or anything, but everybody is so stuck on that note when it could mean nothing to the case.
Right. Yeah.
Like, just the fact that he said something horrible was going to happen, that all of these men were around, and the person was stalking his car, like, what, to make sure he was going to die before they left the scene? Because he was clinging to life when the truck driver showed up.
Yeah. I don't know.
So whatever they did, they wanted him dead. Yeah, so R.I.P. Gunther. Like, if you want to send us, like, a little sign of what the fuck this means, we'd love to solve your murder.
Alecia would love a sign.
Sierra has enough to deal with in her closet. But yeah, guys, these are kind of our favorite cases in some ways, but also the most frustrating because they give us no answers, and this is all we have. Guys, I'm sorry. You're welcome, maybe.
Man, why was he naked?
Right? There's so many
more. What was the temperature that day?
I could not find it, but I'm assuming cold. Because it was so October in Germany in 1984. Fuck. No, it makes me... I was telling Kevin about this yesterday. He's like, don't tell that story. I was like, why? People love a mystery. He's like, but it makes no sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
I wish I could say I made it up, but I didn't.
Right.
It is one of the most mysterious unsolved cases in history, as it is labeled as. So.
Wow. All right. Well.
All right.
That was
Guys,
fun.
speculate wildly. Let us know what you think happens. And if you know more and you speak German, please tell us. But if you guys have any other wild cases from your hometown, send them our way, because it is going to be Sierra's turn for an unsolved case next. And she too likes a mystery.
I do. It's lots of fun.
And to speculate wildly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so send those our way. Send us what you think happened, and don't forget to leave a 5-star review. Most of you listen on Apple Podcasts. I'm looking at you. All of you. Do it now. Everybody's just scared. They're like, what happens if we don't do it now? Who knows? Ask Gunther.
Wow, that was ominous.
I know, I'm so sorry.
Goodness.
I know, I'm sorry. No, we love you guys lots. We couldn't do it without you. We'd just be talking to each other if you guys weren't all listening. So
thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for hanging out with us every Tuesday. And if you want to support the show further, you can leave a review, like I said. You can just tell your friends and family about us. Tell them to go listen. You can buy us a drink if you feel so inclined and don't want to commit to Patreon. We do have a buy us a drink option on our Linktree. And you can join our Patreon for all sorts of crazy bonus episodes. Sierra and I are starting a new series recap and discussion situation by the time this episode is out. Staircase Summer is over.
Oh, gosh.
We've got lots of bonus episodes, Bitch and Wine episodes, and Urban Legend episodes, so you'll never be bored.
All fun things.
All fun things. And what day is it today, Sierra?
Today is August 31st, and today we celebrate that President Obama officially redesignated Alaska's Mount McKinley to its Native American name, Denali, in 2015.
I like that.
Also, we can celebrate that today in 1985 is the day that Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, was captured. We got some happiness and some morbid happiness.
Morbid happiness.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you guys again so much for listening. We'll see you next week for a new episode. If you're going to write any cryptic notes before you inevitably die, please let your loved ones know. And in the meantime, keep it twisted. Thank you for listening to Twisted and Uncorked Podcast. Remember, if you like the show, to go leave us a 5-star rating and review. We couldn't do it without you guys. Now stay tuned to hear about another cool podcast.
Hey there, boners.
We're your host with the mostest. He's Bo.
And that's Big Jim. This is Bo Talks
with Big Jim Podcast.
where his son
tells his dad
crazy stories from true crime, paranormal activity, and much, much more.
Join us every other Wednesday.
And laugh at the ridiculous, disturbing true stories from around the world.
Check out our website at flow.page/BTWBJ.
There you can find all of our socials,
The Instagrams,
the tweeters.
El TikTok.
You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel.
You can find the podcast on all podcast platforms such as
Spotify,
Amazon Music.
Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Don't forget to write a review. And if you can't, just share it and let some other boner write a review. And we'll shout you out on the next show.
Boners and lady boners everywhere, welcome to Bo Talks
with Big Jim Podcast.